Hello and welcome to the part 2 of the rise of Hitler. In fact, we will see here the rise and fall of Hitler and his Nazi ideology. We will also study about the Nazi worldview. What was the Nazis' outlook for the world? So, we concluded the part 1 with the entry of Japan and the bombing on the Pearl Harbor, entry of US into the war and the Allies strengthening themselves. In 1945, when the Allies became strong with their united effort, slowly they started capturing, and when Berlin was captured, Hitler had to give up and he committed suicide. That brought end to the dictatorship of Hitler. So now let us go back. How did he rise to power? We have seen his participation in the elections and how he has restructured the military and improvised the economy. We have seen. We will once again have a recap the conditions that were placed on Germany by the Treaty of Versailles, very humiliating one, imposed war indemnity on Germany, had to pay reparation compensation amounting to 6 million, lost all the overseas colonies, lost its coal reserves, lost its iron, the rich mineral resource Rhineland was lost. It could not do anything, watch as a spectator, and the infant or the young Weimar Republic, which was present for less than a year, 239 days, with almost around 20 cabinets, unstable government, could not bring down the prices, could not control the unemployment. It was a failure. The short life of this Weimar Republic was a failure. So people were looking for a new leader, and that leader was Hitler. We saw his ideology with economic restructuring of his ministerialship along with the advice of Halmer Sat, who imposed on complete production, large scale production, creation of employment, and to increase the financial resources and make the economy stable. The world view of Nazi Germany. Let us study now from here his ideology towards rebuilding Germany. The whole system of Nazism was based on the belief and a set of practices. The Nazi ideology was synonymous with Hitler's worldview. According to him, there was no equality between people. Only the highest race shall survive, in which the blonde, blue eyed Nordic Germans, who represented like the Greeks, with the blue eyes, with the curly hair, masculine, strong, tall. They were called as the Aryans and were at the top, and Jews were at the last in this hierarchy. Hierarchy is a system of grading in which people are placed according to their characteristics, the inherited genes which they have. They came to be regarded as anti race. The Jews came to be regarded as anti race. The arch enemies of Aryans. All other colored people were placed in between these two external groups. Hitler believed the concept of two great thinkers, Charles Darwin and Herbert Spencer. According to these two great personalities, the concept of evolution and the natural selection This was an idea that was used by the racist thinkers and politicians to justify the imperial rule over the conquered people, whoever is conquered. Example, this was used by the Nazis. However, we must remember that Darwin never advocated, he never told that this theory should be implemented for the human beings and human intervention. Based on his theory of survival of the fittest, supported by Herbert Spencer, the idea of the survival of the fittest, one who can withstand a species which is surviving all natural calamities, the changing climate, who can withstand, who can adapt, only they can be fit. This was used by Hitler for his propaganda, for his outlook. But these two thinkers, they never thought that it should be imposed on the selection of species. They meant it for animals, they meant it for the plants. The evolution is a natural process. But these ideas were used by these racist thinkers who believed that the genes which are inherited and those genes were supreme, who are fit, who are able to survive, they will be strong and the weak should perish. Weak should perish, they should not have existence. Who are those weak? Let us study about them. But the Aryan race was the finest amongst all, and its purity became the stronger and dominate the world. Hitler's ideology related to geopolitical concept of Lebensraum. Lebensraum means the living space. Now, as the group of people who are able to withstand, who are strong, who are capable, who are able to serve the nation, they need territory. So the new territory has to be acquired for settlement. For this, he wanted to enhance his mother country, more and more area, more and more settlement. This would enhance also the material resources which would be required by the people, and also the power of Germany would grow. This immediate step was to increase the Lebensraum or the living space. They wanted to attack the Poland in the eastwards. German boundaries were extended towards the east. We can say that Poland became an experimentation. All the terms and conditions of the Treaty of the Versailles were violated. He withdrew from it. He had its own ideology. He established a racial state. Nazis wanted only society of pure and healthy Nordic Aryans. By physically eliminating all those who were seen as undesirable, not required, Jews remained the worst sufferers. He hated Jews because many theories are there, but one of the theory is that a Jew doctor was incapable to treat his mother who was ailing, who promised that he will make his mother recover, but she suffered in pain and she had to give up her life. This could not be accepted by Hitler, who loved his mother so much. So he felt that Jews are responsible for this pain which is caused to his mother, and he hated them. This is one of the theories. Many such theories are there by the thinkers. The traditional Christian hostility towards the Jews are supposed to be the killers of Christ, and also they are called as usurers, means one who will amass the wealth, the money lenders who will charge high rate of interest, who are greedy and misers. Then we have the ghettoization and the periodic organization of violence. Hitler's pseudo scientific theory of race continued from 1933 to 1939. 1939. After that, he joined the war, the Second World War. Nazi terrorists pauperized, impoverished the Jewish people. They were segregated, separated. They were compelled, they were forced to leave the country. From 1939 to 1945, they were sent to concentration camps in the ghettos. Ghettos are the group or a concentration camps which were kept only for these people, and they were eventually at the end killed in the gas chambers at the Poland. We can see here images of different people: the gypsies, whom he hated; the Jews, whom he hated; the place of ghettos where people were sent; and finally, the final solution, the gas chamber where they had to die. The racial utopia. Utopia is a vision which is his imagination, his belief. It had two sides. One is genocide and next is war. These are the two inevitable things for him. They are the two sides of the same coin. Killing of the people, and under the shadow of war, they were destroyed. Then he wanted to occupy Poland because the territory was very close to it. He wanted to expand the living space on Lebensraum. The settlement of ethnic Germans, the people sharing the common culture, brought in from occupied Europe. Poland as occupied and was also divided up. Poland was annexed to Germany. The Polish were forced to leave their own country, own homes, and their properties were seized by the Germans. They were moved in other parts called as the general government, but there they had to face lot of atrocities. The Polish intelligentsia who questioned, they were murdered. To keep the people intellectually and spiritually surveilled, they were under surveillance. Anyone who questioned, they had to face. The ghettos occupied Poland 1939 to 41, the territories which were increased to keep these groups. The Polish children who looked like Aryans, they were snatched away from their families and their race was examined by the experts. If they passed the test, they were given to raise by the German families. They got all the privileges, but they had to give up their own father and mother, their parents. And if they failed in the test, they were sent to the orphanage. They were deposited in the orphanage where they did not get little, they got the chance to live or have a living for themselves. They had to perish, they had to die. With some large ghettos and gas chambers, their final destination. The general government also served as the killing field for these people. It is the treatment which was given to them, the general treatment. It is not the government which is giving them rights and duties. In the stage one, the steps to death for these people who were considered to be undesirable. Number one, they were excluded. Exclusion 33 to 39. They have no right to live among other citizens. Stage 2, they were sent to ghettoization 40 to 44. They have no right again to live with others. Stage 3 is annihilation or killing, large scale killing, 1941 onwards. Once again, they don't have right to live. Hitler's belief for the youth was distinct. He identified those people who had the strongest ability physically and mentally. He was a fanatic who believed in excessive enthusiasm and greatest interest in the youth. He wanted to believe, and he believed and implemented that It is the strong youth who is going to build Germany. The teaching in Nazi ideology was given to the child. The child's brain was reformed. In the Jengwok, the people who were below 14, they were trained to believe what is Nazi ideology. As the children, how they have to respect the Nazism. All the schools were cleansed and purified, not with a cleanser and not with a sanitizer, but all those teachers who belonged to the undesirable section, the Jews or the Polish, they were all dismissed. Here the children were segregated, saying undesirable children and physically unfit, handicapped children, the gypsies, they all were thrown out of the schools. They did not deserve the right to education according to his ideology. Finally, in 1940, they were taken to the gas chamber and there they had their end. The good German subject to a process of Nazi schooling was to train them in the Nazi ideology, where they were mentally made to accept that whatever is happening under Nazism is right. They were asked to glorify Hitler as their savior and messiah. The textbooks were rewritten. The racial science was introduced and it was justified with the Nazi ideology, the ideas of race, the survival of fittest, and in the topmost hierarchy is the Aryans, and the lowest strata is the Jews. The stereotype or the belief which is happening from times immemorial, we should say, though it happened for few years, but the disaster was eternal. The stereotype about the Jews were popularized even through maths classes created in school. Children were taught to be loyal and submissive. They were taught to hate the Jews. They were taught to worship Hitler as their god. Each student, each citizen respected Hitler by saying, "Hail Hitler!" The violent sports like boxing was taught to the children to be attacking, not taking the defense. To be attacking, to be aggressive, to be iron hearted, steel hearted, to be strong, to be masculine. These were the classrooms and the schools during the Nazi Germany. The Jewish teachers and the Jewish people were expelled from the schools under the Nazi rule. The youth organizations, they were to educate the youth the spirit of nationalism. They were classified 10 to 14 years. The organization was called as Jeng Wok. 14 to 18 years, they were called as Hitler the Youth Association. 18 and above, they had to join the army. He introduced conscription, compulsory military training. Everybody had to join the army and worship the Nazi ideology, be aggressive, be violent, condemn the democracy, hate all undesirable people. And as the youth, they have to give their contribution for the safeguarding and rebuilding of Germany and to glorify their nation in the outlook of Hitler. This is the army, the young Nazi boys, the young youth, young woke below 15, I mean till 14. The Nazi cult of motherhood, the belief of Hitler was that the difference between men and women that existed, the basic idea. This idea was taught repeatedly, and women were told that they are inferior to men. Their main job was to be different, radically different from men, because they fight for equal rights for men and women, became part of democratic struggles and everywhere. And it was imposed in their mind, it was induced into their mind that this ideology is wrong and it could destroy the society. They can never be equal to men. Women had a different role. Their role was to be good mothers, to be good wives, to rear the purest race, the Aryan race, the Nordic blue blonde eyed Aryan race. The children had to maintain purity of race. They should distance themselves from the Jews and they should cherish the Nazi values and ideologies. And when these children grow up, they should be aggressive, they should be masculine, they should be brave hearted, steel hearted, iron hearted. And women who bore racially undesirable children, they were punished, and those who produced racially desirable children, they were awarded. This treatment, those who produce the desirable children belonging to the Aryan race, they were favored. They had good treatment in hospitals, they got concessions in the shops, and they got concessions in the theater, ticket and railways. Everywhere they were honored, and they were awarded by crosses: the bronze cross, the silver cross, the four gold cross. For 4 the bronze, for 6 the silver, for 8 and more the gold. This was the treatment, the recognition for the Nazi mothers. And if they violate, how were they treated? They were punished ruthlessly. The Aryan women who deviated for the prescribed code of conduct, they were publicly condemned and severely punished. Their head was tonsured. They were made to wear a placard. The placard mentioned, "I have sullied my nation." Sullied means betrayed. "I have cheated my nation." How did they cheat? If they have their relation with the Jews, with the Polish people, with the Russian people, or any kind of undesirable people, by any kind of relation, physical, mental, any kind of relation they have, they should be shaving their heads, their faces were painted with black, wearing a placard saying that "I have betrayed, I have sullied my nation." Many received jail sentences, they lost the civic honor, and once again, on the basis of criminal offense, they were put to death. The women being punished. The biggest disgrace for any women in the world that was given in the Nazi world. The art of propaganda. This Nazi ideology they wanted to spread to all the people, and this kind of mass killing which has happened, this termed, they called a new term called a special treatment, final solution for the Jews, euthanasia for the disabled. Then they were taken to the gas chambers and they were called as disinfected areas. Taking people to these gas chambers was known as evacuation, movement of people from one place to another. But actually, they are not moving, they are going to invite their death. The gas chambers looked like bathrooms with a sharp on their head. It is a fake shower. From that shower, the hot water or the geyser water is not coming, but the gas is released, and that is going to bring the death for them. The media was used to propagate the Nazi ideology. The Nazi ideas were spread through visual images and films, radios, posters, catchy slogans, and leaflets to tell to the people how to hate the undesirable people, the Jews, the Gypsies, the Polish, the Russians, all those who spoke against, who were physically, mentally weak, who were handicapped. They called these people as malicious. Like the cancer spreads through all parts of the body and destroys the person, puts them to death. These people are called as malicious. The socialists, liberals, all those who raised their voice against the Nazi ideology, they were put to death. Movies were used to show the Jews. They were shown in the form of cartoons, and they were compared with long beard, wearing a kaftan, long frock or long gown, stating that they were resembling the demon, the ghost. This movie is called The Eternal Jew. They were treated as vermin, the insects which will destroy the human body. This vermin will destroy the society. They were compared to rats, they were compared to vermin, they were compared to pets and compared to rodents, the dogs, the fast running animals. Nazis worked on the minds of the people and changed their emotions. People started believing that the stereotype which is practiced on them is true. They started believing. The ordinary people and the crimes against humanity, these common people, they reacted. Who reacted? They were caught. They had to see their end. The supporters of Nazi ideology and the system, they were safe. Anyone who had hatred and anger against the Nazi ideology, who looked like the Jews, they were all ready. They should be ready to face the to meet the treatment which was given out to them. The houses of the Jews were watermarked. They were marked. They were given a sign, a suspicious sign, and that was reported, and they were to be arrested, taken to the treatment, special treatment, the final solution, evacuation, euthanasia, the terms to put their races to an end. The non Nazis, they organized active resistance. How long could they keep quiet? The braving people, these people, they raised their voice. The police put them to control, repression, and finally they had to meet the death. However, many passive onlookers and those who were pathetically witnessing this, who were too scared to act or to differ to protest. One of the writers, like Pastor Niemoller, he wrote like this. First, they came for the communist. Well, I was not a communist, so I said nothing. Then they came for the social democrats. Well, I was not a social democrat, so I did nothing. Then they came for the trade unionists, but I was not a trade unionist. Then they came for the Jews, but I was not a Jew, so I did little. Then, when they came for me, there was no one left who could stand up for me. This is Pastor Nemola. The Jews felt in Nazi Germany their feelings, helplessness to come out of this kind of atrocity, the genocide, the large scale killing, the Holocaust, which was there to destroy the entire genes of this race. Charlotte Barrett, she wrote in The Third Reach of Her Dreams. In this book, she wrote the problems of the Jews faced. Jews themselves started believing in the Nazi stereotype. They believed that we are inferior, we are rejected by the society, so we don't have existence, we can be put to death. The thoughts, the press, the ideology, the media, they criticized them. with the hooked nose, with the black hair, with the eyes. Jews' life, Jews' cartoon was made a mockery. The Jews died many deaths even before the actual death. That humiliation, that insult was unbearable. Before reaching the gas chambers, they died many deaths. This is Charlotte Barrett. This is the book. The knowledge of Holocaust, the large scale killing, this was about the genocide, the Jews during the Second World War. Most of the information, the Nazi practices came out of the World War ended. After the World War ended, there were so many sources which could tell the atrocities, the cruelties which were given, how they have been enduring, suffering this killing, these operations which were imposed on them. And it was indomitable spirit to bear the witness and to preserve the documents can be seen among many Jews. And when the war seems to be lost, the Nazi leaders tried to destroy all these evidences, but some of the evidences were left, some records were there, some diaries, some notebooks, some archives were left. The world has to know this large scale killing which was experienced by the people of Nazi Germany. The memory of Holocaust or the genocide was a tribute to those who were resisted, an embarrassing reminder to those who collaborated, and a warning to those who watched in silence. This is a statement which needs introspection. In these scans, in these diaries, some memoirs were left. This is the man responsible to create the terror in the world, Adolf Hitler, a man who had passionate liking. He was a fanatic for his country's glorification. For that glorification, the steps adopted by him, his positive points, we can say that he had rebuilt the economy. He made Germany a self sufficient nation. His policies for the economy were to introduce conscription or the compulsory military training. He brought all the past glory of Germany back. He improved the public works system. He glorified the fighter planes manufacturing. The nations of the world looked at Germany with awe and fear for his contribution, for his capturing, for his annexation, for his ideology. On the negative side, his hatred. He believed that he is a military genius. He believed that he is a strategic expert. He hated the Jews. He hated the Polish. He hated all the undesirable people. He believed that only the survival fit race should exist, all others should perish. It is up to everyone now who is studying about Hitler to take the good or bad from Hitler. We can ignore the bad of Hitler, but the greatest destroyer of the world, responsible for the Second World War, responsible for unlimited deaths, he is responsible for creating havoc, he is responsible for creating terror. But one good quality is a fanatic who rebuilt his nation, the past glory he brought back, he made it a superpower once again. But every good thing has to come to an end one day. Every bad thing also has to come to an end one day. And so he had to kill himself before offering him to the Allies. When Berlin was captured, he accepted his death by shooting himself. This presentation is once again made by my student Jagruti, and I took delight in explaining the best chapter in the history, Nazism, where it gives two extremes, the good and bad of a personality, and we should take the good from him. Thank you. Thank you so much. Please.